Okay, so why don't we discuss some of the TopHat questions that Group B had for April 6th. So the first question was a question from chapter 3 and 9. So this question was really asking kind of two different pieces. So the first piece was, what does it look like if there is world price plus tariff versus the world price versus the domestic price? So I'll go through all three of those. So the first one is the domestic price. So we see the domestic price here is $3, and we know it's the domestic price because it's the intersection of the demand curve and the supply curve. So this is going to be our domestic price of the good. So moving down now to the bottom, that's going to be the world price. And the world price is the price that is in the worldwide market. So that's basically the price that all countries that are open to trade are going to pay for that good. And we can see that the domestic suppliers are going to supply 50 units. Domestic consumers are going to consume 200 units. So the difference between those two numbers, that is going to be the amount of imports into the country. And then the final piece is going to be the world price plus tariffs. So that really is the world price, but then the domestic country has added a tariff, or basically a tax on imports. So that tax decreases domestic consumer demand. So we're now at 150, and that increases domestic supply because the price is higher. So now they're at 75. So the difference between 150 and 75 is going to be the amount of imports at the world price plus tariff. And so note that moving from the world price to world price plus tariff, the producer is gaining this chunk of consumer surplus. So producers really like that because they're gaining surplus. Consumers don't like it because they're losing surplus. Okay, so the next question was, I believe, from the pre-lecture quiz on chapter 10. And so it was saying the 3 residents of Smallville are considering a fireworks display. So they give you 3 individuals. So Clark values the public good at 80, Lana at 50, and Pete, who hates fireworks, has a negative value of $30. So fireworks cost the town $120 or $40 per person. So the efficient outcome for this town is what? So the correct answer is not to provide the fireworks because the value to all the residents is less than the cost. So all you need to do for this question is simply add up all of the individuals' willingness to pay. So you have Clark at 80, Lana at 50, and Pete at 30 or negative 30. So when you do that, you get a total willingness to pay of $100. And so all we need to do is just say, is 120 greater than, equal to, or less than 100? So because 120 is greater than 100, that means that the fireworks are not good or not an efficient use of the town's funds because the costs of the fireworks outweigh the benefits to the residents. The next question, which I also believe was from chapter 10, was asking about, so Route 66 is a toll road that is congested only during rush hour. So during other times of day, the use of the highway is not rival in consumption, so the efficient toll is 0. And the important thing here is that because there's no traffic, it is not efficient to toll the road, because when there's no traffic, that means that the highway is not negatively impacted by other individuals using the highway. So it would only be efficient to toll the road during rush hour because the road is congested during rush hour. But at other times of the day, there's not congestion, so it's not rival in consumption. So the road should not be tolled. The next question then was asking about permits. So this question was asking, so the government auctions off 500 units of pollution rights. So the rights sell for $50 per unit, raising $25,000 of revenue for the government. This policy is equivalent to a corrective tax of what per unit of pollution? So all you need to do for this question is simply divide the revenue that the government's collecting by the number of units of pollution rights, which in this case gives you 50. So the government should have a corrective tax of $50. The next question then was asking about when the nation of Incenta opens itself up to world trade in coffee beans, the domestic price of coffee beans falls. Which of the following describes the situation? So the correct answer was A, domestic production of coffee falls and Incenta becomes a coffee importer. And so you know that because the domestic price of coffee beans, let's just say in this kind of example I drew, was $2. So when the country opens itself up to trade, the price falls. So you know that the world price has to be lower than the domestic price. And we know when the world price is lower than the domestic price, that means that the country is an importer. And so because of that, when a country is an importer, that means that they are going to be importing goods from other countries, and the world price is going to be lower. And that is it for all of the questions. So I will upload this video and have a great rest of your week. Cheers.